You may think that the battle for civil rights was simply a struggle for equality, but consider this: Martin Luther King Jr. proclaimed, "We are not makers of history. We are made by history." This powerful statement echoed through the halls of the movement, as King understood the weight of history pressing down on the African American community. The 1960s were a tumultuous time, where the brutality of segregation and the violence against peaceful protesters painted America with stark contrasts. With each passing day, the cries for justice grew louder. African Americans faced the duality of professed freedom while enduring systemic oppression. King stood at the helm of this struggle, confronting insurmountable challenges as he forged a path toward justice. In the South, African Americans were denied fundamental rights while legislative changes teetered on possibility. The Civil Rights Act aimed to dismantle discrimination, but resistance from those maintaining the status quo was fierce. King, known for his eloquence and unwavering commitment to nonviolence, understood the movement needed to adapt and become even more relentless. Tensions escalated as peaceful protests met with hostility. Images of brutality against demonstrators flooded television screens and newspaper headlines, igniting urgency. As the civil rights movement gained momentum, the question loomed: how far was the community willing to go to reclaim their rights? The answer was unfolding, yet divisions emerged. While King advocated for peaceful methods, other leaders embraced different approaches. The emergence of more militant voices challenged the nonviolent ethos underpinning the movement. It was within this dichotomy that King navigated the treacherous waters of activism. His upcoming speech, "The Ballot or the Bullet," would clarify the stakes and encapsulate the crossroads at which the movement stood. The growing frustration among African Americans compelled King to confront escalating demands and articulate the heated dialogue surrounding action. On that pivotal night, King stood before a crowd, the weight of history upon his shoulders. This was not merely a speech, it was a rallying cry for all who were weary of waiting. King forcefully articulated the choice before the African American community: the ballot or the bullet. This declaration underscored the existential threat posed by continued disenfranchisement. Failure to exercise their rights could mean relegation to a life devoid of freedom, dignity, and justice. As the winds of change swirled, the message was clear: the time for action was upon them. Divisions began to surface among leaders. Traditional nonviolent resistance, epitomized by King, advocated for peaceful protests, while a more militant perspective emerged, arguing that patience had worn thin. This conflict created palpable tension, forcing King to navigate a landscape rife with ideological strife. In the spring of 1964, the assassination of John F. Kennedy had altered the political arena, leaving many African Americans disillusioned. King, aware of this discontent, understood his leadership was being challenged. This was not just a struggle for civil rights, it was a battle for the very soul of America. In this moment, King initiated strategic decisions defining the movement's future. He called for a march on Washington, a culmination of demands for economic justice and civil rights, an opportunity to elevate the cause to national consciousness. As he mobilized thousands, he felt the push from younger leaders demanding a more aggressive stance. The looming question remained: how could he stay true to his principles while addressing urgent needs for justice? King recognized the power of the vote was paramount. It was the cornerstone of freedom and justice. The path to liberation required the active participation of African Americans in the electoral process. Yet, he also acknowledged the frustrations mounting outside politics. Years of systemic denial had left many feeling their voices were mere whispers in a cacophony of indifference. As he prepared for his ballot or bullet speech on April 12, 1964, King pondered how to articulate the urgency of the moment without alienating allies. His words needed depth. He had witnessed violent outbursts in Harlem and Watts, where despair erupted into chaos. The emotional beat of the movement echoed in the streets, a cry for recognition and action. This backdrop shaped his determination to call for a united front in the fight for dignity, equity, and democracy. In the days leading up to the speech, King immersed himself in messages of empowerment, recalling sacrifices made by those before him. He drew inspiration from grassroots activists who faced hardship yet stood firm in their convictions. King envisioned a future where the ballot was a weapon against oppression, dismantling systems that bound African Americans to chains of inequality. On that day, the air was electric with anticipation. The diverse audience gathered in solidarity and hope. They listened intently as King took the stage, his presence commanding attention. With each word, he transcended ideological conflict, urging them to recognize the power they wielded. The ballot afforded them the opportunity to combat injustices in their communities. It was a call to reclaim their identity as full citizens of this nation. The speech was a lifeline to a frustrated populace yearning for change. King wove a narrative that was personal and universal. He reminded them of sacrifices made by those who had marched before them, the souls lost in struggle, families torn apart by discrimination. Each word echoed the weight of history, resonating with those longing for a brighter tomorrow. King boldly declared that the time for pacifism had evolved. The African American community had waited long enough. Their patience was imperative, but could no longer substitute action. This potent blend of urgency and hope defined his rhetoric, the essence of his leadership in a tumultuous time. The climax of King's ballot or bullet speech resonated as a powerful turning point. Delivered on April 3, 1964, it was an urgent call to action. King articulated the stark reality of the African American experience, forged in oppression's fires, famously asking, "Do we want to be free?" This was not mere rhetoric, it was a demand that stirred thousands to confront their choices. King's message was clear: the path to freedom lay in embracing the vote or risking everything to violence. The dichotomy illustrated the choices facing Black Americans in their struggle, and the urgency resonated deeply. As he urged listeners to take a stand, he painted vivid images of inaction's consequences. He spoke of political participation but emphasized a moral imperative to claim their rights. Each word invoked passion, imploring them to understand the stakes were not abstract, they were life and death. "The time has come for us to make a choice," he proclaimed. "We must choose the ballot, or we must prepare for the bullet." A palpable sense of purpose swelled among the audience, realizing their voices mattered, change was possible if they acted. In that defining moment, King crystallized the civil rights struggle's essence. He spoke to fear and frustration felt by many, igniting hope. His words were not an invitation to violence, they were a call to empowerment through civic engagement. He reminded them of the power they held and the change they could effect at the polls. This speech, steeped in urgency, became a rallying cry for a generation determined to fight for their rights. As echoes of that powerful night reverberated beyond the church, they set the stage for a legacy transcending eras. Years later, its impact remains woven into the ongoing struggle for justice and equality. King's ability to blend emotional appeal with political necessity set a precedent for mobilization, reminding activists today of the potency of a well-crafted message. Reflecting on the ballot or bullet speech reveals its enduring relevance in the modern civil rights fight. King's words still resonate, igniting passion among new generations of activists. The struggles he articulated, inequality, disenfranchisement, and injustice, persist today. Movements like Black Lives Matter echo the urgency that King so masterfully conveyed, fighting against systemic racism and police brutality. The echoes of that powerful night continue to resonate in the fight for justice. Each time a marginalized voice is raised, we hear King urging us to act, demand change. His message remains a beacon for those seeking to dismantle oppressive structures. The struggle is not merely historical, it is ongoing. The questions he posed over half a century ago remain pertinent today. Are we willing to exercise our power? Will we let our voice be heard? Or will we remain silent while injustice persists? King's legacy reminds us of our responsibility to engage actively in the democratic process. The ballot remains a tool of empowerment, a weapon against oppression. Yet, the struggle does not end at voting. It demands continuous vigilance, advocacy, and courage. As we reflect on King's impassioned plea, we must consider how we embody his teachings in our lives. Are we advocating for those who cannot? Are we standing up against injustice in our communities? The call to action is more urgent than ever. In an age where political apathy can easily take root, the lessons from Ballot or Bullet resonate with clarity. King's vision compels us to participate actively in shaping our world and utilize our voices in the face of silence. Each one of us holds the potential to transform society, forging paths toward a more equitable future. We must ask ourselves, what does freedom mean to us? How are we prepared to fight for it? The responsibility does not lie solely on a few, it rests upon us all. King's message transcended his time and continues to inspire action. As we grapple with modern society's complexities, let us remember his courage. Let us honor his legacy by embodying the urgency he lived. The freedom he fought for, the rights he demanded, are not just historical milestones, they are the foundation upon which we stand today. It is up to us to carry the torch forward, illuminating the path for those who will come after us.